controversial character, Dermot Brereton, after all those years with Hawthorn and 5 premiership. What a fight! Sensational mark by Alessio.
Yeah, it certainly was the iconic moment, according to Stephen Alessio, of that first 1995 Anzac Day game, and he joins us today here at the Colonial Brewing Company. First of all, Cess, are you a beer drinker? Or is it your Italian heritage, more wines?
No, certainly enjoy my beer, enjoy all types of beer, and looking forward to sampling a bit of the wares that are here as well. But don't mind a wine, especially, as you said, the Italian heritage. Plenty of homemade stuff. It can be a bit hard on the palate sometimes, but really enjoy it.
Now, mark of the year should have been, or was?
I don't think there was too much doubt that should have been. It's actually the only mark spec I took during my career, so I was a little bit excited when I got up that high. I wasn't sure what to do. I'm just glad I hung on to the ball.
And you should have got extra points for difficulty to get this big frame airborne like that.
Oh, massive.
Big jumbo.
Massive. No, like I said, I hadn't really taken too many other speckies like that during my career, and just, obviously you would have taken quite a lot. Julian, I imagine you would have taken quite a lot in your time.
My local footy days, I was a Sean Smith type high flyer.
That's right. When you get that, you jump. When you're out there and you jump, you're on someone's shoulders, but then you've got that ride and you get that extra lift. That was the part that I was a bit uncertain about. So
the crash landing.
The crash landing, obviously. So
your memories of that game? Such a big game, wasn't it? I mean, 15,000 turned away from the game.
Yeah, massive game. It would have been the biggest crowd playing in front of up to that stage. The build-up, we know Sheeds at the time. He's a great historian. He loves war history in general, and he'd spent a fair bit of time with us in the lead-up around the significance and importance of Anzac Day, the sacrifices that our servicemen and women had given, and the importance of that day. And then it was also one of the first games that we had the last post at play before, having 95,000 people quiet all at one time, being able to hear a pin drop was certainly make the hairs stand up on the back of your neck, and it was really unique, and it's just fantastic now. Years, what are we, 95? So how many years are we now? What's that? 22 years. 22 years on, still being able to talk about it. It's fantastic.
Was it the loudest crowd you played in front of? Some players that have played big finals have said that crowd was as loud as they've ever played in front of.
Without doubt. I remember going back to the centre bounce at one stage and talking to the midfield, and we were this far away from each other, less than half a metre away from each other, in the centre of the ground, could not hear each other speak. Trying to organise what we're going to do at the next bounce, couldn't hear each other speak. That's how loud it was.
Any other specific memories from that game, apart from your hanger?
Oh, look, just the fact that it was the closest of the game. Now that feeling at the end of the game when the draw, we played in one or two others during my time. I think just the individual performances. Sav Rocker, kicking, I don't know, it was 8 or 9 goals that game. And just I think at that stage too, we were travelling, I think, pretty well, and Collingwood weren't.
Yeah, Essendon were 3-zip and Collingwood was zip 3 game.
Yeah, so and I think that's a characteristic of all the Essendon Collingwood, Carlton Collingwood, Essendon Carlton games, that no matter how well or one or the other are travelling, they always get up for that game, and they're probably the strongest memories.
So Sav kicked 9 that day, and Nathan Buckley got the 3 Brownlow votes. Pretty tough being a forward and getting Brownlow votes, isn't it, Scotty?
Well,
it
you
is
would know, Scotty. Haven't been a forward all your
robbed
career.
Continually, weren't we?
Yeah. Well,
how many times did you get 3 Brownlow votes?
Not enough.
What about that last game when you kicked 7 in the
last
last
think
term?
I got 3 that
you
day
didn't get 3
either.
that day?
No, they would have found a midfielder to give it to, I'm sure.
It's very tough on the force.
Can I clarify? You said we were robbed. Does that mean you're classifying me as a forward as well? Thanks for that.
You're
I really
one of us.
I appreciate it.
You're one of us. What do you classify yourself as?
Sort of mobile midfielder.
Inside mid.
Inside mid. Yeah.
Now, 184 games, 193 goals, 2,000 flag. Italian team of the century, importantly as well.
Yeah, and just with the Italian team of the century, there was no one else over 5'5". That's why I qualified as the first ruck in that team. So.
How many other Bombers in that team? Joey Mercedes in that team?
Joe Mercedes, Mark McCurry. Yeah, there's a few others in there. I think maybe even Alec Epis might have got a Cooker got in there as well. So I think Sheeds was on the. He might have been even on the selection panel or something. Yeah, he might have been in there. So So it was that was a great night actually. I remember at Crown getting all the guys, because you have, what was really great about it, you have those different eras of players coming together, and you don't get that opportunity often where you've got guys from the 40s, 50s, 60s right through to the current day players coming together celebrating one particular aspect of the game, and it was a great night.
Now, Scotty, you wanted to clear up a bit of a myth about Sess's recruitment?
I did. I was keen to ask Sess about, because I want to know fact or fiction, how you arrived at the Bombers, because there is talk of the fact that you walked in off the street and asked, could you have a run? Now, here's your chance. Huge platform. One of the biggest streaming podcasts around.
SNFC.com.au.
Friday Footy Panel, get on board.
That's right.
Clear it up now, once and for all. How did you arrive at the Bombers to start your training or your career there?
No, it actually is true. It is true. I had a mate, because that stage it was early 90s. We still had it was still that under-19s reserves senior structure. Yeah. And they used to get all the young guys from the local zone, Essendon, plus Ringwood, which was still our zone back then. Had all the guys there. Bring 70-odd, 80-odd kids who they thought might be half a chance to play in the or get on the 42 list for the under-19s. So I had a mate who was already playing there for a couple of years. We played school footy together. He said, come down. I've seen, we play school footy together. I think you're just as good or can compete with the ruckman that we've got down at the under-19s. I told him to go get stuffed. I've seen how hard you train. I don't want any part of that. And then when I finished year 12, I thought, I'm going to go play local footy again. Local club down the street at the end of my street, West Coburg. So I actually said, you know what, I'll come down and train. When I get the chop, I'll ask if I can train. When I get the chop, I'll be fit and I can play local footy. So I walked in the first night and our coach was Slug Jordan, Ray Jordan, the late Ray Jordan, great guy. And so just for those people who don't know Ray Slug Jordan, just think of the Penguin from Batman. That's sort of because he had his knee done at the time, and loud voice. Under 19s, he'd yell out from the coach's box, something. The runner would come out a minute or two later. He'd say, I already heard it. I know what I need to do, that type of thing. So, he looked me up and down and said, no worries, train if you want, get out there. And then 5 minutes into training, he's called out me mate, and they're talking on the sidelines while the drill's going on. I'm thinking, I'm going to get the flick here. I'm 5 minutes into training. And then my mate jogged back, gave me the wink and said, who is this guy? We want to know. And then after training, they do the old open the mailways, the big black texter for the zone. And my street was the last street in the Essendon zone. One more street over, I would have been a North player. And then from there, just trained all pre-season, made the cuts, and then off you go, walked out 14 years later.
And how often did Slug refer to your Italian heritage?
He was good fella, Slug. There was one time we lost the final that we should have won, and he could cut well to the chip. Put it this way, by the time I played senior footy, I had that thicker skin that it was no problem. Any spray off the senior coaches was no issue. But he did refer to me as autumn leaves because I spent more time on the ground than I did in the air. So he was great. He was really good in terms of making me as a young bloke coming into AFL football understand sort of the hardness that you need to develop as a young guy if you want to progress through your footy.
Now, another game I wanted to talk about from your era, Sess, 99, 2000, 2001, a great era. One of the great wins I think the club had was round 19, 2001 against the Swans. Bombers coming off a couple of losses. I think Matty Lloyd was out that day, James Herb was out that day, and you kicked the goal with about 5 seconds to go. What are your memories of that game in particular?
I remember it was a funny game. We just couldn't get our game going all day. I think we were like 20-odd, 30 points behind most, and deep into the third quarter, fourth quarter. And then all of a sudden, you get those run-ons, and we started getting a bit of momentum. You could feel the energy in the guys starting to build, and I was just fortunate enough that to be in the right place at the right time, hang on to the mark. I think that last quarter was a really good one for all of us, and just taking that mark. And I remember going back. You'd remember there's another assistant coach, Scotty, David Whedon, great assistant coach, Essendon assistant coach, and he was really good for me because over the years we'd worked on, as forwards, proper technique when you're shooting for goal. Go back, have your routine and all that type of stuff. And you always saw, and he would always say, there's going to be a time in the game where you need to kick that goal. You don't want to be worrying about the pressure, the crowd, everyone that's out there, all that type of thing. Just focus on your routine and stuff. And that would have been 5 or 6 years earlier. And that was the one thing, once I'd taken that mark out in front of goals, you knew it was desperate, towards the end of the game, pretty tight, and just hearing, okay, what's my routine, going back, and then being able to execute that and kick the goal, fortunately, was a great feeling.
Surely, I was going to say, surely 3 Brownlow votes that day for you. 4 goals in a low-scoring game, including the winner.
I think 3 in the last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, no, it was good. It was good. You always enjoy those. Surely 3 Brownlows. Surely. I don't know what happened, so anyway.
Surely.
And favourite footy memory overall, Sess? We ask all our guests this. 2000 is the obvious one.
Yeah, 2000 is the obvious one. It's what you play for, it's what you train for, what you go through all the heartache as a footballer, and being able to share that experience with your teammates. And it's always a great catching up with the boys. We always catch up quite often, but on a formal basis every year, where we get all the boys from all over the country coming in together. And
you often say you're coming but don't come.
Really?
To those?
Just generally.
Oh, really?
That's more to our one-on-one meetings, not that I enjoy the catch up with boys.
I'll be there, see you there, and you turn up and you're on your own.
Yeah, that's right. That's you and I. That's you and I, Scott.
That's
you and I. That's just you and I, mate. So, so enjoy, the 2000 Premiership's a really good one. Anzac Day's another one that stands out. Funnily enough, the prelims where we've lost, sort of they stick in your mind for different reasons. Those ones in '99 and '96 up in Sydney. There's different games you remember at different times, but they all sort of merge into one. I don't know about you. Do you have clarity around games and that you've played?
Bits and pieces, but not a lot. Yeah. No, people will often raise a game or a moment in a game that you're very vague on.
Right.
To you, it just flows in. Now, you mentioned the Sydney prelim. Now, you, I think, Sheeds would occasionally identify you as the man best able to take a spray on behalf of the team, because you're pretty easy going, and he knew you'd bounce back and weren't too sensitive in that regard.
Yes.
Is it true that you actually got a spray when you didn't play in the game?
Yeah. Well, as I said before, going back to the story around Ray Jordan under 19s, we'd been conditioned We'd been conditioned from an early age to and that was just how the coaching footy was back then and stuff. So I remember actually Lloydie, when he first started, I forget what game it was, we'd played really badly, and after the match, Sheeds had sort of been pretty strong in the aftermatch analysis with us guys, in particular myself, and it was a Friday night game, and we in the showers, and I'm sort of, all right boys, it's Friday night, where are we going? We're going out tonight. And Lloydie's looked at me and said, aren't you devastated around? I said, yeah, look, I'm disappointed. Sheeds has given me the spray, but get all the emotional stuff, put it to a side. Tonight he was really concerned about my work rate. I should have been kicking the ball longer, not mucking around with it, and I needed to do this as well. That was the message. There was 10 minutes of emotional stuff in there, but that were the 3 points out of the message. And I remember Lloydie coming back to me and saying, I really helped him in the years later, just to really, whenever he was copping a spray, to focus on what the real message was. But there was one game up in Sydney. I was coming back from injury, so I was actually emergency for the game. I think it might have been out at Homebush where they played, and so all suited up. You watch the game. Unfortunately, the boys didn't play real well. We lost by a fair margin. Good team man, as you know I was. Scotty, good team man. Is sitting with the boys in the aftermatch. Sheeds, going through a lot of the individuals in terms of how they could have performed better in the game. And then sort of proceeded to give me a spray there when I'm suited up with the boys about how I should have been better and better prepared and all this. I sort of had to remind him I didn't even play. So, but anyway, it was enjoyable at the time. I know, in particularly for you.
We'll stick with Assess after the break. Plenty of Bomber fans got some questions for you off Twitter. Of course, we're at the Colonial Brewing Company in 89 Bertie Street, Port Melbourne.